What's up? What is up? Welcome back. We are in season 2 of Living Real, and oh boy, do Clara and I have an amazing show for you today. I'm so excited. I am Carissa Atkins.
I'm Clara Capano.
And we are here to help you boss up and gain clarity in your life, health, and business. So Clara, I'm really stoked today to have our conversation about healing and forgiveness. And
it's a big one.
It's huge. It is huge. But I do think before we get started, we need our cocktails from Dion.
It wouldn't be an episode without a cocktail.
Absolutely not. So Dion, what you got for us today?
Well, ladies, welcome to the new year, 2022. New year, new me. I like to start things out with a bang as always. So we're going to start out with something caffeinated. All right?
Thank you.
It's the traditional espresso martini. It got hot in 2021, and it's going to keep on rocking in this year too. So we're going to start out with an ounce of our espresso mix.
Love it. That is perfect to get the day going.
Definitely. Any of that extra, I might need a little IV drip over here.
And then I do a Demerara syrup. So Demerara is sugar in the raw. It's a little bit more healthy than the regular granulated stuff.
Well, now you're thinking about me.
I know,
Thank
he's
you.
always looking out for our health. We appreciate
Always,
that.
ladies, always. And then we're going to end it with our Cowboy Country Distillery coffee liqueur. And we're just going to go with a half ounce of that guy. And of course, it wouldn't be a party without some Tito's vodka. If you're a dog person, drink Tito's.
Beautiful. I love, well, Dion's kind of making that and shaking it up. I don't know about you, but one of the things that Will and I do, you guys, that's my husband. I know we talk about our spouses, our partners, our kids all the time, but we always have a dessert drink at the end of a meal. It's something Will always does. And now I'm like, okay, so Dion, this sounds like something he would definitely want to give.
All right, so I don't know if there's a tequila song for coffee, but you know, Starbucks.
Yeah, sometimes just having that little sweetness after a meal is always good.
Yes. He has reminded me that.
Oh, those smell so good.
Well, hopefully, Dion, right, you are able to enjoy one yourself today.
Oh, I enjoyed one before the show.
Oh, good, good.
Got a taste test for quality, right?
And as you guys can see, we have 3 glasses today. We are excited. We have not just Claire and I talking about forgiveness and healing, but we are bringing on the amazing Sandy Spady. She was in season 1. We brought her back for season 2 because she has a powerful story that we're going to dive into. But so excited for that.
Putting a little nutmeg on there.
A little nutmeg on the top. I love aromatics. Aromatics make drinks what they are because, you know, we lead with our nose and then we drink with our mouths. Wonderful.
To pair well with a cigar.
And then we have Dion's version of the espresso martini.
Good, cheers.
Dion said, lead with the nose, then drink.
This is heaven in a glass. I feel a little bit like, is it Gollum in Lord of the Rings? My precious, my precious.
That's it. You're on point today with that. Oh, yep, this one will be gone today. Love it.
This is great.
It is so true. You know, like I love being super mindful, right? It's definitely something that I try and do. So I can appreciate when Dion said, like, lead with that nose, smell it, taste it, enjoy it. Don't feel guilty about it.
No.
Like, just do it.
Well, and I think, you know, these cocktails that he's making, it's another great reminder of life, of the beauty, of the small things, and just the artistic work that he puts into each of these drinks and how it's just those layers. And I think it's a great analogy for life because we all have those different layers and we need to really appreciate them.
That's so
You know,
good.
and lead with that mindset, lead with that abundance and all the beauty that we have.
I agree.
So, you know, as we are letting our cocktails kick in and get us all relaxed, we need to go into our question of the day.
Yeah.
So as you might know from season 1, we always have a question to kick us off. So today the question that we have, Carissa, is what do you feel is the biggest lie that women tell themselves in your industry, your specific industry that you work with?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so if you don't know me, right, I'm a weight loss and habit change coach. So I really dive into the wellness industry, the health industry. And I think the biggest lie that women specifically are told through media, right? I remember it's all media. From birth, we are taking everything in, we are processing it, we're creating identities around it, we're creating beliefs around things. And if you can think back, and I bet you can even guess if I asked you the question, if you could think back to the very first time you saw a supermodel on a health magazine and it said, this could be you, successful, healthy, happy, right? It created a picture that in order for us to be successful and healthy, that we need to be a size 0. Right? And then when you, of course, as women, we flip to the pages and we read to it and it's like, oh, she was on this diet and she does this workout program. And it's just, we are tailored to believe that we need something, whether it's exercise equipment, like expensive equipment, trainers, or a diet in order to get healthy. And I truly believe that this is the biggest lie that we as women, we face every day, right? What success looks like, what health looks like. But yeah, quite honestly, it pisses me off because women come to me and they're like, well, I'm on a keto diet. That's what I need to be, but it's not working. And I'm like, that's because it's not for you, right? Not everyone needs to be on those diets, and you don't need a diet in order to lose weight and feel great in your body. So the media's health and industry is crazy. I think I just read the other day it's going to be a $50 billion industry in 2022 to get people healthy. Like, it's their job to say, try this, and then just kidding, it's going to last for a little bit, and then you're going to fail, and then you're going to hop on another one, and this repeated pattern makes us feel like failures. So what about you? What's the biggest lie that you would love to?
I think it's very similar. It's interesting that in the two different industries, because I work mostly with women and helping them create their success plans, and my whole concept is let's create success on your terms. And it's because the lie that we tell ourselves is that success has to look a certain way. You have to get up at a certain time, and the way that another woman has success is exactly the way that you have to be successful. And I think that success is not one size fits all.
Yeah.
Just like health and wellness is not one size fits all.
Yeah.
You have to find the patterns that are going to work best for you, and to be able to be open to sit back sometimes and listen. I remember the concept that really got me into this was after my son was born. I was reading this book, and I can't remember what system it was, but it was, feed your child at 9, and then at 12, and then at 3, and it was doing that. And Nicholas wasn't following that. And I was stressed out because I'm like, he's not following the plan. We have a plan. On page 42 of the book, the plan says do this. And then all of a sudden when I sat back and I watched, he was following a plan. It was just his plan. And it was more like 10 and then 2 and then. So the idea is you've got to start listening to your own internal compass and find the patterns that work for you.
So I'm just going to kind of ask you a question because I'm curious about this. So what would you say, right? Tony Robbins says success leaves clues.
Yes.
So being that we're both very successful with what we do and we feel very abundant, because remember, you guys, success isn't always having $1 billion in the bank, right? Like, you can still be unhappy and be rich. But if success leaves clues, right? Finding success on your own terms, would you agree that we still need to be looking at what the majority, like what does work for the majority?
Yes.
Or no?
Absolutely, because success does leave clues. So what you want to do is you want to, for me anyway, start with the vision of who is it you want to become. And then start to identify who are some people that have stepped into that greatness, and then study them. But then after you study them, you then adapt it to your own lifestyles.
Yes.
So I have looked at successful women, also successful men. But then I find, how can I adapt this same concept into a pattern that's going to work for me?
you.
So for example, in studying successful people, I know that 98% of successful people are up at 5 a.m. For whatever reason, 5 a.m. doesn't connect with me, 5:15 does. So for me, I get up at 5:15. it's not a huge difference,
Right.
but for whatever reason, that's what my biorhythm works with. So I think you do need to study the patterns and then adapt them.
Okay, good. I was like, I think, we're like soul sisters. So
We
I was like,
are,
I kind
yeah.
of feel like you had that coming. But you were going to tell me, and I would say the same thing. Be flexible with how you get there,
Yes.
but be willing to get it done.
Definitely.
Get it done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving into, I don't know if it was just because this is going to be a tough topic today, right?
We're going deep.
Forgiveness. Yeah.
And it's
so I was like,
important.
heavy
Yeah.
drink, deep drink, and
It's an important topic. We beat ourselves up, not just as women, but as human beings. We beat ourselves up, and we sometimes push ourselves to these standards that are so high. And we hold on to past wounds and past hurt. And so the idea of forgiveness can often be scary as
Yeah.
well as challenging.
Yeah, for sure. So if you haven't picked up on that and you didn't read the show summary today, we're talking about how to forgive and how to heal and why, more importantly, why, right? Like, why do we need to do this? And then give you some really practical strategies that has worked for us in the past to get up, to boss up, right? And to find clarity of what you need to do. So I'm just curious, is there a moment in your time that you felt hurt? And I guess before we dive into that, I want to remind everyone who's watching that I think that's important, that trauma comes in all forms, and my trauma is going to look like different from your trauma, and we cannot judge other people's trauma according to ours, right?
Absolutely.
We could go through the exact same experience, but our healing process is going to be 100% unique, just like the flexible plan on how to get to success. So with that, can you think of a time that you have felt hurt and pain, and who you needed to forgive?
Definitely. So I would say it was my first husband. So I was married for the first time at the wonderful age of 22, which was very young. And 3 weeks after getting married, I found out that he had been cheating on me almost the entire time up until our wedding. And in fact, he was in bed with somebody on the morning of our wedding day. So I had a lot of shame because a lot of people in my inner circle did not want me to get married. So I did not want to go through the I told you so.
Yes.
I felt stupid, so I was mad at myself for not picking up on the clues that I knew. So there was just this myriad of just feeling lost and ashamed and guilty and all of these items and feeling very alone. And I did the thing that most people do where we kind of shove it down.
Sure.
And I really did not
Especially
address it.
women, okay? We lock it down,
We lock
right?
it
We ain't got
down.
time to feel the feelings and to
Exactly.
cry. Oh my goodness.
And so it took me many, many years. And it was probably maybe 10, 12 years later that I actually was able to get to that point. And I just remember, I don't know who it was that I was listening to, but the concept that I took away from the conversation was, when you forgive someone, it's not about them, it's about you.
Yeah.
And what I had to learn is I wasn't absolving him of all the wrongdoings that he did. I was just saying, you know what? That chapter is closed and I'm choosing to move on.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of peace that came with it. And if I saw him today, I would give him a big hug and I would welcome him with love. He has his own journey and he has his own path and his own issues for what caused him to act in those ways.
Sure.
And that was really a healing moment for me to be able to go forward.
Yeah. And
What
I
about
think
you?
with, I want to get into that, but I think with him, right, like you have a great perspective on, he wasn't trying to hurt you. Like there's not a lot, it takes a crazy man to really want to hurt
Right.
somebody specifically. Like, but their intention is not to hurt you in your situation. He was just doing him and dealing with his own BS.
Exactly.
And it's not nothing you can control, and more than
Right.
likely it stemmed from his childhood, right? But okay, well, yeah, I think the story that I would love to maybe share today is the one from my son's dad. So I met him at 14, and I was pregnant at 15. So sophomore in high school, and I moved in with him. My mom was against everything, of course. She was like, no. In fact, if you move in with him, Carissa, we're going to take the car away, like everything that she could threaten me with. Because mamas know when they can tell, right? They got
Right.
that weird sixth sense
you're
of
like, but I
"Don't-
love you,
yeah,
Mom."
we're gonna be this perfect, happy family, and I'm gonna finish school, I'm gonna work, and we're gonna play house, right? Because what new mom doesn't want that feeling, right? We do. We want that for our kids, and so I didn't see the signs coming, if you will. You know, I didn't see anything coming until we moved in together. And then things just escalated out of control, right? It went from verbal abuse to physical abuse to sexual abuse to passing you around to my friends' abuse, like to the literally of you are nothing, Carissa, but you are my property. And that happened within a year's time. A year's time, right? Like how can someone go from, you know, strong, charismatic Carissa and like me 25 years ago to broken, to worthless, to I just get up and do what I'm told. Get up, like my mindset has been programmed that way. And it really has, I've worked on that for 20 years. Like that's not something hard to like start to rewire your mindset around you being enough and you're worthy and you're deserving of love, like real love. And so I'll be honest, like, you know, I'm not going to get into the details because that's not what this is all about. But him going off to jail, let's just say that, and me starting over, right? Saying, okay, this is where life is at. And it wasn't until, I want to say 7 years ago, I was at a conference. And I was at a conference with a bunch of coaches, empaths. People you cannot lie to, okay? Like people, you know, like every day, like how many times are you asked, how are you doing today, Clara?
Right.
And the easy thing is to say, oh, I'm good, girl, thanks, right? And we brush it off because we've shut those emotions down. And in my opinion, I thought I've healed, right? Like I've gotten thin, I've learned how to restructure my body, I've learned how to eat for my emotions. I'm like, I've healed. But what I realized is that I put up an ice wall and I was like, nobody's coming in. Right? And I couldn't see it at the time, but I thought that was my form of protection. It's like, nope, we don't talk about it. We don't think about it, you know, because if I think about it, I give it power and I give it energy, and I didn't want that. But one coach came up to me and he said, how you doing today? And, you know, I'm at a conference. I'm higher than a kite for like, not real, you guys, but like you're at a conference with women and 800 people and coaches. And he's like, how you doing? And I said, oh, you know, I'm fantastic. I'm doing great. And he's like, lies. And I'm like, what? And all it took was he asked by the third, how you doing? And I just melted. I lost it, right? And it was supposed to be an amazing keynote that we were going to go in to watch. And he's like, we're going outside. And I was like, no, I'm trying, yeah, like every part of me wanted to get away from this situation. So we went outside, and I remember sitting outside, and I just lost it. And I was like, I don't know who I am, like what is going on. That's the power of conferences too, right? You just feel jived up, and you just trust anyone because you're like, oh, I'm so, you know, in love with life. And it was that point where I was like, I have never healed. And then it took me 7 years, right, to heal. And now I can honestly look back and say, I am so thankful for all the crappy sandwiches I ate, right? We'll call them that. Because it built a resilient woman. It built a strong woman. Like I look, anything that I'm scared to do, I'm like, I almost killed myself back then. And I overcame abuse and self, you know, harm. And if I can get through that, I can get through anything. Right. That's how I take a look at that. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, I just think, you know, it's such a powerful way, and you know, to think about that, and it's the reframing. You know, yeah, you went through a lot of crap, and nobody should have to go through that. No. Male, female, you know, nobody should have to go through that. But the idea is you weren't going to let that be your story anymore. And I think it takes a lot of courage to let go of that story, because even though we know the story is one of dysfunction, it's our story, and we're attached to it, and it becomes part of our identity. And if we let go of that, when you're already feeling lost and broken, when you let go of that, then you're like, well, then I have no story. Right. And
who am
a
I
bad story could be worse than no story. So I think then we have to, again, rewrite it and then say, okay, you know, here's the pen. Let's rewrite our new chapter.
And I did. I had to sit there and think, how did this man doing this to me, what's the best, like, what can I take away from it? And now it is a part of my story, and I'm proud to tell it, and I'm proud to talk about it, where I was ashamed.
Right.
I mean, I spent that whole year and a half thinking, I can't wear, certain clothes because I was afraid someone was going to see the bruises, and then I would have to like face the whole story and the shame and the guilt of like, why are you in that situation? Like, people want to so quick to judge, and they have no idea what your story is, what your past is, but it's all about the reframe. You are right, a fresh perspective, right, on how can I learn from this?
Exactly. And that's why I am so glad that we are going to have, Sandy here with us today to be talking about how we can go deeper with this concept of acknowledging and then also going through the process of forgiving, because that is really the kindest thing that we can do for ourselves, and really understanding that forgiveness is not about the other person.
It sure as shit is not about the other person. I could care less if he's healing or moved on. I can honestly say I have, right? If I could say if I could say thank you, I would, but who knows where this guy is.
Exactly.
Like, he left my life after jail, and I remember the cop said, you will never have to probably worry about him again. And I was like, okay. I'm good with that if you're good with that.
So, good.
Goodness.
Well, we are going to be able to continue this conversation when we come back after this little break, and we are going to dive into some strategies to help us with forgiveness with our amazing guest, Sandy Spady.
365 Daily Hustle is a global health coaching company helping purpose-driven women boss up and get healthy so that they can truly show up and thrive in the world. We help women lose weight, gain energy, and feel sexy and confident in their bodies. We help women create sustainable habits that support a positive mindset, nutrition, exercise plans, stress relief, and of course, self-care. If you're tired of feeling like a failure when it comes to your weight loss and health goals, please visit our website at 365dailyhustle.com or join the Healthy Hustle Facebook community today for healthy tips, recipes, workouts, and more.
Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation all about healing and forgiveness. And Sandy, welcome back. You were with us in season 1, and we are honored to have you back with us here today.
This is great. If I can hang out with amazing women every minute of the day, let's do this.
I know,
Let's bring it
especially with
on.
cocktails,
And
right?
It is actually my favorite cocktail.
Yeah,
It's really good.
So you had me at cocktail.
Yes.
that's all we gotta
That's
do.
what we gotta do,
That's all I
exactly.
can do. I'm very
Oprah, are you
busy.
available? We'll give you a
Exactly.
cocktail.
Ellen, any of you people out there, Kelly Ripa,
Yes.
we'll bring
We'll
our
bring
own
cocktails.
cocktails.
Absolutely. It's espresso.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, seriously, welcome back. We fell in love with you in season 1, where you gave us such amazing wisdom on the parenting panel and the mentorship and, like raising the next generation. And lo and behold, Sandy has a gorgeous story all of her own. So I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into that. So with that, Sandy, I mean, you're here in Omaha. This is home right now for you. Tell us about your story. Where do you want to begin?
Well, I don't know how gorgeous this story is, but at the time when I met my ex-husband, I thought my life was going to be gorgeous.
Okay.
It's kind of that dream that every little girl has, is finding their Prince Charming. You grow up seeing weddings and the pretty of the gown and the crown, and it's that fantasy that we put ourselves in our head at a young age, that it's going to find the Prince Charming to take us and save us. And so basically when I met my ex-husband, I had been divorced from my daughter's father for almost 4 years. And I was really on my game. Like, I focused on my daughter, I focused on my career, and I was very confident in where I was at that point in my life. And that's knowing what I know now, that's kind of when someone that is an abuser sees you as a confident woman, things that they don't have, they see in you.
Interesting.
And so I wasn't looking for someone. I was very happy with my job. I got this great promotion. I won this President's Club, going to take a trip, and then I met him, and he was just so quiet and shy and polite and so caring that I just kind of got suckered in when I wasn't looking.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you talk about. I had never thought about that, but those people again who are narcissists and everything, because they're their passion is to break us down.
Yeah.
So I never thought about that. That those are the ones that seek us out is when we're at our peak because they want to see our demise.
So this is it. I got under the spell, and I was just, memorized everything I wanted, I needed, I looked forward to with my daughter, who was amazing. I just believed everything, and you just get swirled in and sucked in, and you don't see it coming. And so it was great. Like, it literally was my prince. And then you get married. I dated for almost 2 years. We got engaged, got married. And then slowly things psychologically just change, and you don't see it.
Right? There's these subtle little nuances, and you just don't see them.
It's kind of like the story with the frog boiling in the in the hot
slowly.
water. If they would just jump in when it was boiling, they would jump out. But when it's slow and it starts boiling, you just kind of stay in it, and then it's too late, and you're just dead.
Right.
And literally, at the point that I left him, I was literally over a patio fourplex. He had his hands around my neck and getting ready literally to get thrown off the patio. And I turned around the corner, and there was 2 police officers with their hands pulled out. And I said, I'm up here. And I was just in shock. And I remember turning to the parking lot. And I was at my daughter's fourplex in a different town, hiding from him. She was gone. But I remember turning, and I saw the Jeep, and it was just idling, parked opposite to leave. The other vehicles in the complex were parked in the parking lot. And it was parked idling to leave, and the lights were off, and I thought at that instant, he came here for a purpose. He came here for a purpose. I literally should have died. I would have accidentally fell off that patio. And that's when I just realized I'm done. Like, I'm lucky I survived this. And when he saw the police coming, he literally changed the demeanor of his personality. And he just casually walked down those stairs as a whole different person, as I saw many times in my life, how they just change. And
Because nobody else saw him in that light.
never
Nobody
saw
else
that
would
light,
see
and
that
they
side.
can just change like
They
that.
do. They do.
And I thought, I'm crying, I'm shaking, and I'm like, how can you just turn like that? And that's it. That's when I was done. He went to jail. I went to a safe house for the weekend. I have filed twice, left 7 times. And that safe house, when they said, it's my 7th time, and I said, what's my 7th time? I don't, what? Statistics. I'm a statistic. 7 times I left an abuser. Filed twice, moved out 5 times. And I said, that's it. Like, I'm done. And you just know. It's kind of when someone starts smoking a cigarette and they want to quit. And your friends and your family, they tell you, quit, it's bad for you, and it's, you're going to have a short life, and you don't do it. You can't quit until you're ready. But when you're ready, you quit, and you throw those cigarettes away.
Right.
Yeah, 2 years, my mom said, bad news, right? Bad news, bad news. And I mean, it doesn't matter if I was 14, 15, 16, or 30, 40, or 50, right? Like, we have to hit that moment of, oh, crap, right? It's got to be on your terms. And we just don't see that. We're just too in the thick of it. We're too in the pain of it. We feel so stuck, and we don't feel that we even have the courage to walk up and do something else about it. It takes courage for what you did.
Absolutely.
You're a courageous woman who's bossed up.
I did boss up, and I think I bossed up with God, because literally it's the strength I get. And you just have that confidence that you can't go back.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just know there has to be something bigger out there.
Yeah. And I think, again, a lot of the courage, because you didn't know what the next path was going to look like. You went blindly into the safe house saying, this is where I need to be, without knowing what the next step would be. And I think that also takes a lot of courage. And I think that's why so many people don't take that next step, is because they want to see what's coming next. Am I going to be safe? And you just sometimes have to go blindly into
Women
it.
want the how. They
want
really
the
do.
how.
We want all 10 steps. Like, okay, if I leave, then I'm gonna need X and Y and Z, and then I better have the backup plan in case, especially with someone who's been abusing you. Like, you feel that you need to have 5 million plans because they've always outsmarted your other plans. And I remember that, and it's tough. And I just want to share that. That's tip number 1. If anyone is out there, is you don't need the how. You just have to surrender and have faith that the Lord is He is going to show you and bring in the people that you need in your life. You don't need the how. You need one step, one courageous step.
And the big thing with me is that I had a perfect life, literally. He's a multimillionaire. He controlled my Facebook, my friends, my family, and to the world, I had it made. We had a pilot. We had, housekeeping. I had anything I wanted, but I didn't have my freedom. And a lot of people with an upper demographic lifestyle, they stay.
Because
they
of that.
stay.
Because
It's
of
a great
comfort.
life. If I followed the rules,
Right.
I could have a great life with his cheating with multi-people. And we had a guest house, and he was like, if I can just bring my girlfriends to the guest house, you just stay here. Because I was the pretty
Right.
one, the trophy wife that
Yeah.
would be the front that made him look like a good
Right.
person, because he wasn't.
Right, and he needed all of those things.
All of those things. And my goal right now, really honestly, is to help women leave and to realize that there's a way out. When I went to get my protection order, he fought it. 4 criminal attorneys, $18,000 I didn't have, but I fought it. And to this day, I settled. I always say I got enough to start over and enough to stay alive.
Yeah,
That's all you need.
that's all you need. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because your mission, your goal, your purpose right now, and especially, you have a new book coming out, and we will talk about that here in a minute, but what would you say, looking back, because we can always see the signs looking back. After we're out of the thickness, we can always be like, that should have been the point, right? The turning point. Can you give, the ladies watching today, maybe they are stuck in something, they don't see it, or they're not quite in something yet. What would be some signs that, looking back now at your ex, would have been the red flags? None?
As I
This is
write
just
my
so good?
book, I look back at the dating red flags,
Right.
the control, that they do something to you, and then the next day, they act like nothing happened. And so psychologically, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're
they make us
crazy.
question it.
You don't. That didn't happen. Oh, or they make fun of you, and you're like, I was kidding.
You're too sensitive.
Kidding. Like, and my goal really is to get the younger girls at junior high age and to get their confidence up so they learn to see those flags and that they don't have the confidence, in themselves, that they don't make those bad decisions at an early age.
Right.
And that is the world of difference.
It is, and it's so important. And I love that you're really working with this. And a big part of our legacy is speaking to the future generation of women, because I think before even all of our times, the traditional concept was, a good girl is quiet and does what she is told. And I think the more that we all share our stories and are giving back, as we're starting to redefine what a good girl is. And a good girl stands up for herself. She has a voice. She is worthy of love and standing in her light. And I think that's a big story we need to work on. And as we're going into this concept of healing and forgiveness, how are you using this? How did you use this story to do that? Because you had to forgive on so many different levels. So how did you move into forgiveness and healing?
I tell you, you have to forgive yourself. The shame, the guilt, the what if, people told me so. That's the first thing. Because if you don't forgive yourself, you're just going to be stuck there.
That hate.
And you just have to forgive yourself, forgive the people that didn't stick up for you, forgive my stepchildren and the people that turned their eyes and said they would help you, but they really didn't want to help you. Or they really didn't want to listen. And then the big thing, honestly, you know, my ex-husband, I stayed with him for almost 20 years because I loved him. But he didn't love himself.
Yeah.
And so you have to realize that people don't try to be bad people. They make bad decisions, and but you can't jump on their life of destruction of themselves. You have to stand up for yourself and forgive yourself, and then you need to forgive them, because if you don't, you just wake up every day and you just have hurt, and it festers, and nothing good comes out of it.
Right. The abuse actually keeps going. And again, trauma, abuse, it looks different for all people. But when you don't forgive, you just keep perpetuating that because you relive it every day. And when you forgive it, again, it's not about saying it, you know, it was okay. It's just finding your own way to make peace with
yeah.
it.
It's like you were in a prison, right? And even though you got out of it, you were still imprisoned by that power, right? That power it holds you, that guilt, that shame, all of the emotions that nobody wants to feel, because it sucks. Yeah. It sucks going through those feelings, right? And I'm sure as you wrote your book, you had to relive all those feelings, because you always, you know, you can't help someone that, you know, you can't go back and literally be like, okay, chapter 1, where was I, right? So you said tip number 1 would be, you've got to learn to forgive. Start with yourself, then start with the people. And only because we had a conversation prior to the show, what was the next person that you had to forgive, Sandy?
So my ex-husband, and I have, you know, after he went to jail that evening, and I never was alone with him, and I knew I could never go back. I could never pick up that phone because I would be sucked in that easy. Yeah. And we were in the courtroom, and usually we have attorneys around us, but for that 1 minute, it was us two right there, and he was on his phone, and I just said, please look at me. And he wouldn't, and I said, I need to tell you that I will never forgive the things you did to my daughter, my mother, my family, my friends, but you need to know that I forgive you. I forgive you. And instantly, you know, he got up, he got in my face, and he's yelling at me, and I'm shaking, and I just calmly got up, and I went to the ladies' bathroom, and I just waited, and I was upset, but that relief, I took a big breath, and I'm like, the relief in me was just peace. And you can never get that peace in life. You can chase the money, the happiness, the glamour, but it's the peace in everyone's life that we really chase. Yeah. And I was starting to get that right there.
Well, you were really connecting, going back to what you said a few minutes ago, is you had the money, the house, you had all of these, but you didn't have your freedom. And I think when you forgive, it's stepping into your personal freedom to, again, take control back of your life and write the next chapter and decide this is the path that I'm going forward in.
Yes, and I'm such a different person than 4 years ago, and I just want to show people how you take what is given to you. Life is not guaranteed a happy life, but it's
Prince
how you
Charming
take
isn't
it.
always,
You take it, and then you help others, and you blossom, and you spread that happiness of change and self-help, and just, there's so much out there, and you cannot appreciate the happiness and the good things in life if you don't have those struggles and those battles. Yeah. Because that's what makes you appreciate and enjoy the little things.
Yeah.
Les Brown, my mentor Les Brown, I would never forget the very first time I hopped on a Zoom with him, right? He goes, you guys, because it was a group call, he said, your story is not yours to keep. Yeah. You need to share it, right? If you don't know who Les Brown is, he's an amazing inspirational, motivational, speaker. And he loves teaching other people how to own their power by using their voice. And you've used your voice pretty largely so far, right? Like you're starting to share it, you're opening up. That's definitely part of a healing process, not just with a therapist in a room probably, but look at you. You're a boss, right? Sharing your story, owning this power right now. So tell us about the book.
I
I'm
know.
excited, like, because obviously this is part of the journey.
Yeah,
of
and I would say
healing.
this is the second strategy is after forgiving and acknowledging it, it's the sharing of it. So definitely tell us about your book.
This is it. We can take what we learn and keep it to ourselves, but everyone has a story. And if we can share that story and it can change someone else's life. I said to my author that's helping me, if I can get one woman to leave a really bad situation, then that's all I need.
You've done the job.
And I just want to share what I lived through. I'm real with my story, and then let people know the steps. Like, you cannot leave a person in that much power and money and get pissed and say, forget you, I'm leaving, because you won't leave alive.
Right.
I literally had a 4 to 2 year plan. And I didn't know when and if, and you always have that hope that he's gonna just change.
Yeah.
But you have to prepare yourself. And I prepared myself, and I had those steps. And it's those steps that I want to share with other women. And then I want to change the upper demographic that we think they have money. We don't, it's them. And I just want to share that to give them the strength, because they have so much more to lose. I mean, I'm tracked, I'm followed, private investigators, but when you leave and it can be done, your life is different.
Yeah.
And am I going to probably be taken back to court when this book is out? Yeah, it is. I probably will be. But do I have the power and the strength to do it? I do.
Yeah.
Because fear, I need a drink.
Yes,
way.
fear is awesome.
The name of my book is No More Fear. Make a plan and never go back. Because you can be paralyzed by fear. You know, the world we're living in, it's all fear. We have so much unpredictable with sickness and health in the world. But you have to wake up, give it the best day ever. I tell people, make it the best day ever. And then release that fear, give it up, and live life. And I'm so happy right now, and I give it my all.
Love that.
And I think when you walk with that full alignment, there's always going to be fear. You guys, there's always going to be fear. If we don't feel that in our own self, like if we don't feel our bodies like sweat and like, then we're not really living, right? There's actually something wrong with us if we don't feel the fear. But it's our job to say, damn it, I am no longer going to let the fear hold me back, right? Because the way you're living, the way I was living, was terrible. There was no way but up. So even if it takes my life, I'm leaving. I'm not going to leave this earth on his terms. Heck no, right? So you got to step in and say, it's okay. I don't know all those answers, and I'm not going to let fear hold me back. You're going to feel it. And so give us the name of the book once more. And when's it?
Yes.
Tell us about when it's coming out.
Okay, so it's going to come out in October, which is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Strategic woman there.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the guy above must have planned that one. And it's No More Fear, Make a Plan and Never Go Back.
Okay, No More Fear, Make a Plan and Never Go Back. Are you in pre-sale, or where will this book be?
Pre-sale
Okay.
will be in March, and I have just a lot of a little pre-storytelling.
Yeah.
Because this is it. My goal is you have to do so many paperback, sell so many books for hardcover. Mine is audio, and this is why. Because people in those bad situations cannot have a book
can't.
laying around. Oh, psychopath free. Ooh,
Yep.
well, she's learning about me.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and so when he would, every night my phone would I would be held down. Look, who are you messing with? What are
Yeah.
you cheating on?
Yeah.
He would finally go to sleep. I'd put my earphones in my ears, and I would find my app for audio app. And so that's what set me free, is an audio. So my goal is to get enough books for an audio app, because the women that can't have physical books, it saved my life, those books.
It's another strategy.
Yes.
Another strategy, if you're there and in the thick of it, go to your phone, audio if you can.
Audio.
What would be, I love that, first
know.
off. Like, I just,
That was so smart. I never would have thought of
Yeah.
that. And, that's a really thoughtful way to be able to put it, that it's another way to help them, because you're right. They can't have these
we
little
didn't have
clues.
smartphones when I was
No.
going through, like I had nothing. Like
Yes.
there was, and yeah, and if your passion is to work with the younger girl, like I was that younger girl, right? Like I couldn't go to my mom because dang, she would have been right. So there was no app at the time. Like I just had to like get out, right? And just hope to God that they have that faith. But I love that strategy. I didn't even think about it. It's like, listen to how you can get out. What would be, two of your strategies that you really mention in the book? I don't want to give you them all, the secrets,
No. I'm
because
just
we
thinking
want
the
women to
most
buy the
important
book.
thing is knowledge is power. Read, research, get a counselor, get a journal. A lot of times you just have to, until you don't know.
Yeah.
And so you have to, once you get that empowerment of, wow, I'm not the crazy one.
Yeah.
They are, but now what? What do I do? I'm stuck here. So it's knowledge, and then get a counselor, and then make a plan. I'm going to get kicked out. He's going to lock me out. I'm going to be pushed out.
Credit cards will be,
I
yeah.
mean, literally, I had an apartment in a different town because I have 3 dogs, and you can't leave at 2 a.m. with 3 dogs and get a hotel room. So I had enough cash I saved. I paid everything with cash. And I had an apartment, and I talked to the landlord, my neighbors. I showed a picture of my ex-husband, and I said, please, you cannot tell anyone that I'm getting this apartment. It's my safe house. And I had that for almost a year, and I was there 3 times, but that peace of mind.
Just knowing.
With a mattress,
do that.
and I had somewhere with my dogs, because I don't leave them, because they're magically going to disappear.
Yeah.
Gave me a safe refuge and my peace at that time I needed.
Yeah. Claire, what about you? What would be some strategy, 1 or 2 strategies?
I think going back to the idea of sharing, it doesn't have to be a book, but even just talking about it. And because I think when we acknowledge it and we share it, we are finally ready to face it. And you never know who you might unlock, but again, it's more about you than it is about the other person. And I know for me, for years, I had so much shame around being divorced and being cheated on, and how didn't I see the signs, and I didn't want to do those things, because again, I didn't want all the other people to be right. And once I finally did it, it wasn't the shame on me, and I was like, no, this is just part of what it was. So I think definitely sharing is a really important strategy, and finding people that you can talk to, and knowing that you're not sharing for anybody else other than that's part of the healing process for you.
Yeah.
What about you?
And really quick, back it up, because there's golden nuggets in everything. So I'm really good at
Completely.
spotting your golden nuggets, you guys. Your golden nugget was, I didn't, and I said it, but we didn't want to look bad. We as women, we feel that we have to be on some pedestal, that we have to have our shit together. We can't look like we're weak, and especially a lot of us was taught, like, just sit there, be quiet, and especially corporate women, right? We raise the ranks, just be quiet, do what you need to do, hustle hard, and you'll make your way to the top. Don't shake the boat. So it's like, I think we have to let go of the ego that is like, I need help, right? Like, this
Definitely.
sucks and I need help. So that was a great little tidbit that I heard in there. I think for me, like, I didn't have the outlets, so I feel that I did both of what you did. I reached out and I had faith, right? I was like, God, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm 16. I have $0, going to high school, working at Village Inn, I'm just surviving at this point in time. But I just knew, I said, I still made a plan. I said, okay, he's going to leave in a week on a job. I've got 1 week, whatever I can fit in my Grand Am and haul away with. And I wasn't very smart about it, you guys. I went from Papillion all the way to Bellevue. It's like 7 miles, by the way, if you're not familiar with the area. And I just, I started living life there, right? I transferred from one location to a different location. My family was here, so it's not like he couldn't find me. But, I had faith that this was the rock bottom, and I'm like, what else have I got to try, right? Like, I don't care about all the kitchen stuff and anything that I need to take. We don't think about that crap when we just need to get out. It was like the important part. So Jaden shoved in the back of my Grand Am in a car seat with a few of my things. And I just left, right? And I had faith that it was going to be okay. And when you had mentioned on your story, when they come back into your life, you freeze. And it's really important, you guys, not to let them in, right? To tell everyone about it, because they come back, right? Got a knock on the door, and I just froze. And he's like, I've changed and I'm ready. And then he pushed his way in, and then that's all I remember. So like we've got to be strong enough to tell people what we're going through so that other people can help us. Other people can be the strength when we don't have it. And just remember, we are never alone, right? I truly believe that the universe, the divine, God, he's with us. And that just brings peace to my heart alone, right? I'm like, I'm not alone in this.
Right.
I had no one, but I'm not alone.
Yeah.
That really feels good.
Yeah, and I want to just bring it back to what you kind of started us off the conversation talking about, is that trauma can look different for all levels. And, I know for some people they could be looking at your story, and I've never gone through something as traumatic or as scary as that, so sometimes I might minimize my own trauma. Yeah. And so I think, again, understanding that whatever it is you're going through, that's yours. And there's nobody wins the trauma lottery. No one's like, I got the worst one.
I don't want the prize. No prize for that.
Don't be competing for it. And I think, these strategies of forgiving yourself and acknowledging it, asking for help, sharing your stories, they work for whatever type of trauma that you're going through. So it's just a beautiful way to do it. And I appreciate it. I know we both really appreciate it, as I'm sure our viewers do, of you sharing your story and being so open with it, because there are too many people out there suffering through whatever it may be.
And I have to, piggyback on what you said about faith. I mean, literally, I gave God the wheel.
Yeah.
Because when you surrender, we think we have control. People, we don't have control. Yeah. Your life, you are a different person. And you're never alone.
No, ever. Sandy, where can, if a woman just wants to even reach out to you, what's the best place right now in the next couple of months where they could reach you and find you?
Now this is where I get goosebumps. I just made a post on social media, and which is great with social media is you reach a lot of people. And I'm literally just working with 4 women right now, and I tell them I don't have the answers, and everyone's stories is different, but I will listen, and I want to just empower them. So I just trust that anyone that wants to reach me will reach me through social media.
Is there a certain social media, Instagram, Facebook, which ones?
I do LinkedIn, and I do Facebook, and I do Instagram, and it reaches a lot of people. And so if you're out there and you're looking for just someone to listen to, give some insight, and just have just some confidence to take what ifs, what about, I can't do it. We all have been there, and we will help you take the what ifs, I can't do it, and give you strength, and the most important, we'll listen.
Beautiful.
We need each other.
Thank you so much. What an amazing talk we've had today. And, we definitely want to, gift you with one of our books. And we just encourage all of you out there, make sure that you do, search out Sandy and make sure that you put things down so that you can work with her and get a copy of her book as well.
Absolutely. Y'all, you're never alone. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to watch today's episode. You can catch it on motivationandsuccess.com as well as livingrealtv.com. And stay real, y'all.